Let's take a look at your report. First, the speed, in our calculation, it came out as about 90. We tend to underestimate slightly, but you need to increase your speed. At least you need to hit the 3 digits. Do you think yourself you are athletic?
Yeah, I'll say.
Are you reasonably muscular? Or?
Yeah, I think I am.
Then you should be able to use the muscles.
Yeah.
Instead of relying on the range of motion, there's a sliding through, you should be able to really use the muscles and then throw. Because the main goal is to throw the clip head, not about you exaggerate body motion. So, and then one thing, your swing time overall from the beginning of the backswing to impact is slightly over 1200 milliseconds. That means over 1.2 seconds. This is a bit too slow. That means your backswing is slow. You have to speed up your backswing. So essentially, what's happening is using this slow backswing, you create a lot of shoulder turn all the way up here, and then pelvis slides, this drops here, the elbow comes in this way here, try to swing. So this is partially because you have slow backswing, go up, and then try to with body. But image this, you throw the club fast here, and then if this is a sort of spring, like a clock spring, it's the old style clock, when you turn it, yeah, then as the coiling is progressing, then it'll build the tension, right? So you have active action and then create this coiling and then unwind and throw here instead of. So you need to speed up the backswing. Just speeding up the backswing can give you big change. Sometimes I've seen simply increasing the backswing speed, I've seen people increasing the driving distance by 30 yards.
When you did your full swing, when you do that speed trim, you know that ripstick she does, she hasn't done it in a while.
No, I did it yesterday.
Oh, you did it yesterday?
But in order to swing the ripstick faster, then you have to connect the backswing to downswing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the idea.
On that one? So far, do you know?
90, no, 100. 100 was the max. With my driver, though.
Over the drive, not
Because
the
that's what-
ripstick
no,
itself.
They tested the driver on the app.
So 100.
So in order to really throw the club head, then you have to add the arm motion later and then swing through instead of sliding the body moving together like this. Then your arms cannot go faster than the body rotation. So you will have to work on that. But anyways, so backswing is a bit too slow. Overall, you need to increase the backswing and also simplify the motion. And currently, you're turning too much. Your shoulders are turning too much. I know that you are flexible, but you just try to show off how flexible you are. But you have to have a good balance of the body range of motion and the muscles, instead of just relying on the range of motion. Okay. And then this is the top view. So this large rectangle here is the swing plane, calculated from the club head motion. This small rectangle here is the hand motion plane. It's coming from the hand motion here. Your swing plane is quite outward here. Although you have a tendency of hitting upward so that at impact, the club head is moving toward the target here. But you have to be careful here because your swing plane is aligned outward. So if it's a bit late, then the ball goes to the right. Initially, when you had the wedge shots, pretty much all balls were going that way. But in the afternoon, it was a lot better. You had a lot better direction control. So generally, because your swing plane is outward,
So it's
it's out, into out, into out,
into out.
into out. And it's because you're dropping this quite a bit. Your pelvis is sliding.
Isn't intel draw?
It will give a draw. Yeah.
Okay.
You should,
Yeah.
If you have a good draw,
Yeah.
then it's okay.
Okay.
But from time to time, if you have square impact, then you have block shots. Okay, because the swing plane is basically
that is correct.
going outward.
Okay.
Sometimes also when you try to overcorrect, then you have a low hook.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because of the swing plane.
Okay.
So you need to reduce this angle a little bit, maybe 2 to 3 degrees. On the average, it's about 6 degrees right now.
So okay.
So you need to bring this a bit closer to the target line here.
Like to 2.
2 to 3, yeah. So this is sort of a bias here. So your swing plane is turned that way here. So when you hit it up, then you can correct that direction. But if the timing is not right, and sometimes you should hit the block shots. Oh, I don't like this. And then next time you try to sort of add spin, then it gives you a low hook. It's simply because of the direction of the swing plane. So in the driver swing, because you have a tendency of slightly hitting upward, so it's okay to align the swing plane slightly right side of target, but not too much. Okay, so maybe about 2 to 3 degrees at most. The hand motion plane is also slightly outward here. And then this line is the actual cleavage trajectory on the way down here, downswing here. This is projected to the swing plane here. But this side is thin here. That means, so between the actual trajectory and the projected trajectory, not much difference here. That means that you're pulling the hands inward quite a bit in the follow through. So you are dragging all the way instead of letting the head go. So here's the difference. The goal in the golf swing is to give a good speed to the end point, right? So if you keep dragging this versus letting it go, this versus you have to let it go. Because if you don't, then your body is turning quite a bit, but your club head is not moving as fast as you want. So the whole goal should be promoting the club head motion. Later we'll see this effect, but so generally your swing plane is slightly outward. Now actually this is when everything is aligned along the swing plane here. So this straight line here, this is the swing plane, calculate from your club head motion from here to here. But at the top, your club head is here, hand is here, so these are away from the swing plane here. But then, on down here, about here, your pelvis is already opened toward the target. What that means, you're dragging this behind your body here. You drag, and your body is already jumping here. Impact here. Then it is actually in the follow through, the club head is going below the swing plane here. And then eventually it comes back to the swing plane here. And going slightly above. So when this happens, in the follow through side, if the club head keeps staying close to the swing plane, what that means is you're dragging it all the way instead of letting it go. When you throw the club head, then it goes above the swing plane. So by the time you reach this position, the club head should be about here, a lot higher, because you keep dragging in. So it goes below the swing plane here, and then returns to the swing plane, and it goes slightly above the swing plane. So this is called the spiral swing. So start from high side here, and then go low here. There are 3 different types. Planar swing, start from high side, comes down to the swing plane, have good planar motion, and then it goes up here. So the club head never goes below the swing plane. That's the planar pattern. It's balanced on both sides. Reverse spiral pattern. In the downswing, it goes below the swing plane. And then in the follow through, it goes way above the swing plane. So it's the opposite to a spiral. But your swing pattern is called the spiral pattern.
Spider?
Spiral.
Okay.
Spiral.
This motion here.
Spiral. Okay.
So high up here, coming down, and then below the swing plane here, and it stays close to the swing plane. And also,
Ideally, we want planar or
planar is simpler.
is it
Planar pattern means you're using the legs, and with that you are throwing this instead of dragging the club. Okay. And another aspect here is, so your club at the top is about horizontal here. It's aligned horizontal. But then after that, once the downswing starts, see how the club head is moving. It's going way up here. It's climbing up and coming down. So if you draw a line here, the path is almost symmetric about this line here. So this line is parallel to the swing plane. Your club head is moving up and coming down along the line here. It's symmetric. This means you are letting the club go away from your body too early.
throwing it or twisting or whatever?
In high school, did you take physics? No?
No, you weren't. I took chemistry and bio.
I know, I like to, I'm engineer, structural engineer.
So, moment of inertia.
Yes.
So in the angular motion, it's all about MOI regulation. Yeah. So for the same amount of torque, if you decrease the moment of inertia, then angular acceleration increases. So at this stage, if you let the club go away from your body early, then early on, the system moment of inertia increases. Okay, this is the axis rotation. You're rotating about the axis here. When you start the rotation, if you let the club go away, then the system moment of inertia about this axis increases. Then your rotation is not as fast. But with the same amount of effort, if you keep the club closer to your body on the way down, you have a smaller moment of inertia. Then automatically you end up with a faster acceleration.
The speed skaters, like this, you come in, spin. That's the,
So in the downswing, first you need to accelerate your body fast. And then in the second half of the downswing, your body slows down, but you keep accelerating the club. So it's not just one action and all you try to swing the club, but rather initially the body accelerates, and then later you let the club go.
that snap at the end.
Then you will be able to increase the speed quite a bit here. So one thing you have to do is you have to keep the clubs close to your body, early part of the downswing. But in this direction, if the club head path goes high up and then coming down gradually like this, that means you're letting the club go away. The reason why is that you pull the handle down. When you pull the handle down, the club head goes up. So the image you need to have is, when you start the downswing, instead of trying to cut something with the sword here, just to draw the sword from the sheet. So when you try to cut someone, right, instead of trying to swing like this and try to cut, just to draw the sword from the sheet. So if there is a sheet here, you're just drawing the sword instead of trying to cut something. Okay, so this will make a big difference. You have to keep in the backswing, you want to have large arc on this side, and then come to the top. On the way down, keep the club closer to your body, and then here, throw the club head away from your body. Instead of let it go and then keep dragging here. Okay, so that's the image you need to develop. Yeah.
On the downswing, should the club be under the plane?
No, it should be just club will stay above the plane.
Okay.
But if when you have a more body-driven, leg-driven early downswing motion, then what happens is the club head quickly moves toward swing plane, going like this, instead of going up and coming down here. This shape means you are letting the club head go away from your body. Now, another issue is, if we look at this in the different perspective here. Now, this is looking at in the swing plane. Yeah? So this is the top of action here, about here. Okay? This is the top of action. And then the camera is looking down this way here. So this is your swing plane. It's perpendicular to the swing plane here. You see your arms are almost pointing vertical upward. This is too much rotation. For that, your shoulders have to rotate this much. But yet, you don't have much wrist cock here.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
This is not that efficient.
Yeah.
You see, if you draw an imaginary line from the center of the shoulders here, and then going to this here, so this is called the lever, upper lever, the lower lever. And then when you extend this line, then your wrist cock is less than 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Instead, rather, your arms go about this much here. Then probably the shoulder will pass this 90-degree point. So go slightly more than that, maybe between 90 degrees, 95 degrees, let's say. So if your shoulders are aligned more this way, your arms are going more this way, but then you should have enough wrist cock.
To be able to get that.
Yeah. If you have a good wrist cock here, then that means the club is staying close to your body. Then on the way down here, unless you cut something like this, it still stays closer. But you are starting already from this position here. The club is staying away from your body. Even at the top of action, it's not that close to your body. So because you are starting from there, you know that, oh, this is heavy, so you try to pull it, the club head goes up. So more than anything, this is too much rotation here. And this is because your backswing is slow, so you want to go as much as you can go here. But when you have faster backswing and then transition to downswing, continuous transition to downswing, then your interest is good slow down of this motion and then change of direction and start speeding up, right? So you don't want to go all the way. Rather, your muscles will be, developing tension and then coming down here. So it will limit the backswing motion. So it's better to have faster motion. Faster motion and then connect it to the downswing. Okay? So this is really inefficient. Although you are turning quite a bit here, but because you don't have that much wrist cock, then you just, from the beginning, your moment of inertia is fairly large. So you have that disadvantage. So if you have to go this much, don't be afraid of dropping the club head like this.
Like the long drivers.
Like long drivers. Drop it. But the only thing is you don't cast it, but from there just try to turn the body. Draw the sword and turn the body instead of try to cut. Normally, large backswing or the club goes this way here. Normally, this causes trouble because when you have excessive backswing motion, then you tend to use wrist early. So you have casting action here. That's why a lot of people say this is bad. But if you keep it close to your body, then it's a long driver swing. You have enormous speed. So if you have to maintain this body posture, then still let it go a bit more. Okay? But the thing is that when you have a good connection between backswing to downswing, you have active backswing, then normally you will be able to decrease the rotation, but more wrist cock here. You can feel the motion of the club here. The club has inertia, so it wants to keep going that way, and then you will slow this down. Okay? But if it's slow, then you are intentionally bringing the club to this position here. But when you have faster motion, then your main focus should be deceleration of this motion and then finish.
If you go faster, it'll, because of the speed, it's going to cock.
Yeah, it's called
more naturally.
inertia. You need to take physics. And what do you what are you going to study in the college?
Biology.
Biology.
Yeah.
But you have to take physics.
Yeah.
think.
let's do physics.
Physics will help, yeah, because particularly since you're a golfer, when you utilize physics well, then my undergrad study was in astronomy.
Oh.
But somehow I realized that I can apply mechanics to my body motion. I was playing soccer a lot at the time. I was a member of a club,
My son plays.
playing soccer a lot. And then I started applying mechanics, and it worked. So somehow I practiced this, and then later I found the area called biomechanics. So this is it. So I changed my direction, but yeah, if you take physics, then you'll help. So, as you can see here, you have excessive body rotation, however, not much wrist cock here. So this gives an inefficient swing. And then, this shows the whole body center of mass motion here. So the red dot here, I don't know whether you can see this. Yeah, this red dot here. This is the whole body center of mass. This is the balance point in the body. And then normally it goes, it moves away. It moves away from the target and then go up, diagonally down, and then diagonally up here. But in your case, it's not going up that much here, so slightly, and then it's moving quite a bit in this direction here, because you're sliding the pelvis. It's called the sliding. When it's moving reasonably, then I call it purposeful shift. But in this case, I call it sliding. Sliding carries a negative meaning. Okay? So you have to bring this up higher and then drop it and then going also up here. But you have this flat face. This is the pelvis is center of mass. And it is moving horizontally quite a bit here because of sliding. So we'll see the effect of that. Now this shows the pelvis motion. The upper one shows the translational motion, so forward backward motion, and the away toward motion, and the up and down motion. The lower graph shows rotational motion here. So the red line is pelvis rotation. So when during the backswing, your body turns this way. And then blue is lateral tilt. So in the backswing, your right side stays higher, left hip is lower than right hip. So while you are rotating, you also have a lateral tilt. Okay, that's the blue line here. And the green is this rotation here, forward and backward tilt. And then this green line is away and toward motion. So the center of mass of the pelvis is moving away slightly, and coming back, and they keep moving toward the target here. The red one is a forward backward motion. Blue is a up and down motion. Now, let's first look at this one here. This is a rotation. Okay, so the rotation rapidly increases, and then about here the slope changes. That means you have two-stage backswing motion. Okay, because you have a lot of time in the backswing. Okay, so up to this point, pelvis keeps rotating. So pelvis reaches this angle here. But after that, your pelvis does not rotate that much. It stays there. Pretty much you're maintaining the pelvis orientation. And then what happens during this phase is your arms, the shoulders, and then club are rotating here. But when you have a fast backswing, the backswing time decreases, and also your pelvis rotation will go straight all the way here, and then touches this, and then coming back here. So it'll be continuous pelvis rotation instead of you rotate up to this point, and then pelvis stops. Okay? And then.
So just a quick question. You see sometimes, some people say like when you're moving on your backswing, the pelvis should not rotate at the same pace as or same rate as your shoulder.
Normally the shoulder rotates faster. You cannot rotate pelvis faster than shoulders.
Some people say up to this point, just keep your
Initially, so what happens is initially it'll stay a little bit while you are shifting,
Yeah.
but then from that point on, it has continuous rotation to the peak value, and then changes direction here. But in your case, up to this point, it's rapidly rotating, but then it slows down here. You have two-stage backswing motion because you have too much time in the backswing. So when you plan to go from here to here, when you have enough time, then you can have different scenarios here. Initially, you go slowly here, and then kill all the time, and then final couple of minutes, you try to run fast. Or you can go quickly up here, and then wait here. Okay, then kill time here. But if you have just a reasonable amount of time, then you accelerate and decelerate to reach that point. So in that case, when the motion is, the time is reasonable, then you don't have much room for, all these things. All you do is just accelerate and decelerate. So if backswing is reasonably fast, then what happens is this. You just accelerate to reach this and then decelerate. But because you have too much time, you first rotate to this point, slow down. When you slow down, then you lose all the effect here. Okay? So when you have a continuous motion and change direction, then you have maximum effect. But you turn here and the stop and the wait, then you have to start all over again here. Then your pelvis has to turn toward the target early before the rest of the body responds. So that's why you have early pelvis sliding and a lot of rotation. So this is when the pelvis rotation is maximum here. But from that here, you see on the way down, you see the pelvis is acting first. But now this is way behind your body here. So pelvis is already returned to the neutral alignment toward the target, but this is still way behind your body. Then, now, pelvis has to turn quite a bit toward the target here. So if we look at this in the frontal view here, so about here, the lead arm becomes parallel to the ground. So when you connect the left shoulder and the left hand, this line becomes parallel to the ground, right? At this point, your club has to be here. But already the club is way out here. This is the main reason why you lose a lot of speed at the impact.
It's almost like dumping the power.
You should let it go here, but then later you're just dragging here. And even, you will see something interesting later. I will explain this, what's happening toward the end of the downswing. But because your pelvis is already sliding quite a bit here, and then it's opened toward the target, and the arms are behind your body, but club is already way away from your body. So you have to have less opened pelvis at this point. Around here, when the lead arm is parallel to the ground, then your pelvis is actually pointing toward the target. About here, when the arm is here, your pelvis is pointing to the target here. But in your case, it's here, also the club is way away from your body. So
She almost completed her pelvis turn by the time.
So this is because you have early, in the backswing, it's a slow, and then you have a lot of pelvis rotation up to this point. Okay. And then, not much pelvis rotation to the top position here. And from here, the first thing you do is the pelvis opening the pelvis, while the arms and the club are following. So you're not intentionally doing this casting motion, but because the whole thing is rotating as one unit, it has a casting effect. Okay, so let it go, and then if you shallow and drop this way here, you can keep the club closer. But because here if you try to rotate as one unit here, then club goes away. So by shortening the backswing time, by speeding up the backswing, you will change this kind of thing automatically. Yes. sometimes it's as simple as just increasing the backswing time, backswing speed. Then a lot of things change in response to that. And then here, so this is lateral tilt. So right side stays high, left side is low here. So as you rotate here, you see the right side is high, left side is low here. So it gives this blue line lateral tilt. So this is the most lateral tilt here. And then now the direction changes. So, and then at impact, left side should be above the right side, but not this much because you jump here. At impact, your left heel is also off the ground. You're jumping. This jumping doesn't do anything good to you. This foot has to stay on the ground. But you're jumping and then the heel is off the ground. With that, this is going too high here. Okay? So the blue line should be somewhere here, not this high. Also, this blue line is up and down motion. We have a lot of upward motion here. All you need is just go slide above the initial position here. So initially it stays here and then goes down and going up and then finish about here rather than going this high. You're jumping. This is an unnecessary effort. So you're wasting your energy to create this kind of motion rather than focusing on the club head motion. Imagine you have, do you have a sister, a younger sister? No? Oh, you have younger brother? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. So when he bugs you a lot, you wanna, right? Then your goal is hit like this. Yeah. So the timing should be, this is the key, instead of you're moving your body a lot has no meaning. If you really try to hit something, the speed of this end point is what's important. Mm-hmm. But then you have exaggerated body motion, all these has nothing to do with this speed here, right? Mm-hmm. So your focus should be this one here, impacting the target instead of creating a lot of unnecessary body motion. Mm-hmm. That's why oftentimes when you have exaggerated body motion, it just moves your body, but it does not really contribute to the club motion. Mm. So the focus should be always on the end point motion. The whole purpose is by using the rotational motion of the body, you're speeding up the end point. Using that speed, you are hitting the ball and then also have good direction control, right? Mm-hmm. But this type of upward motion is too much. Okay, you're wasting a lot of energy in this case. Look at this impact position. The right shoulder is low, left shoulder is high here, but this should be more going this way here. So around here, although your right elbow is not completely extended, but it's reasonably, then impact like this, comfortably here, and then throw and hit the ball and then keep going, instead of going into this position. So on one hand, you are jumping unnecessarily on the left side here. Then your elbow, right elbow is still stuck here, and also it's bent too much. So you have to let it go in front of your body instead of pulling this behind your body and then let it glide your body there. So, but it may be as simple as just speeding up the backswing. We'll have to see. But the main thought you need to have is you are supposed to promote the end point motion rather than exaggerated body motion. Okay? And then the X factor shows the separation between the hips and shoulders here. So X factor is 0 about here because these two lines are parallel to each other. Mm-hmm. So there's no angle between them. But then as shoulder turns more, now the angle is formed here. Mm-hmm. Eventually when they cross, then it shows X shape here. That's why it's called X factor. Mm-hmm. But this is angle here. So X factor keeps increasing. This is top of backswing here. In this one, I looked at Y here. So we used the 5 repeated trials here. The standard deviation, the center middle one is the mean pattern, and then this shows standard deviation. So certainly we have a large standard deviation here, right? I looked at the data. It seems 2 out of 3 trials, it was using different motion here. So that means swing to swing, your motion is not that consistent. Something is happening toward the end of the backswing. Even the club head motion was different. So when I was taking picture earlier, I had hard time to find the right timing. Because my camera, my old camera, once the flash is on and it focuses, and then when you hit the shutter button, there's a time delay between this and actually when the shutter opens. So I have to find the right timing from your body motion. So from your body motion, I find the timing and then try to hit it. But initially, I couldn't find the right timing because I could not read sort of a rhythm in your motion. And sometimes, so I hit it too early. So next time I try to hit it a bit late, but then your motion was, you had the quicker transition. So then it was too late. So I had it then. So it seems here, 2 different types of motion were done here. So 2 trials, and then 2 and 3, they showed the different patterns. But so this is top of backswing. But then after you reach top of backswing, it further increases. It's because you have early rotation of the pelvis here. Because the pelvis action here, the X factor increases. So this is top of backswing, but this is the maximum X factor. When the X factor increases this much beyond top of backswing, that means your backswing is weak. Yeah, because your backswing is not preparing your body enough. You, by instinct, know this.
Sort of guiding.
So then, when the downswing starts, you'll try to create a better condition. So what should happen is you're opening the pelvis early. Then the muscle will be elongated a little bit. But if you have faster backswing motion, then during the backswing, because the upper body is rotating faster than the pelvis, and eventually pelvis reaches the most rotation at this point here. So from this point on, pelvis is either staying there or slightly rotating in the downswing direction, but still the rest of the body is rotating this way. And with that, you can create this separation. But in your case, this is not enough, so that you have to create more, because pretty much from here to here, your pelvis stopped. And so when you start downswing, you have to slide the pelvis and then you have to open the pelvis early to create this more. But this is excessive X factor here. Although this is elite man's average, elite man here, but your maximum X factor is because you're turning this too much. And then you have early pelvis opening in the downswing. This is excessive. But when you have a faster backswing, again, automatically this decreases. So we can have different symptoms, let's say. If you have a headache, for example. If it's just a minor issue, then just having a Tylenol will solve it. Okay? But if you have a major cause somewhere, so in my case right now I have a stomach problem. Whenever I have stomach problem, then I have headache.
Like my wife.
Then just using Tylenol doesn't work. Maybe briefly, but the pain comes back because this is not solved yet. So you have to really address the cause of the problem rather than treating the symptoms. And sometimes the cause is just as simple as just a slow backswing. Okay? But when you speed up the backswing, then a lot of things change. So yeah, you can change this by speeding up the backswing.
And so the overall time also, you say it's too long, partly because of the slow backswing.
Mainly it's a slow backswing. But when she speeds up the backswing, then the downswing also will speed up because she can use the muscles better. We cannot generate the same muscle force regardless of situation. if you use the same muscle, okay, let's say 100%, but still the actual force output can change depending on the situation. When the muscle is shortening, we have generally less force. When the muscle is lengthening, then you contract the muscle, then you generate a lot more force. And then particularly, so the ideal way of using the muscle is that you have active, elongation and then shortening here, while muscle is contracting. But if you go slow here, then you don't have that elongation effect. So you must have continuous elongation and then shortening, like a spring. Okay? So we need to probably increase the backswing speed. Now this is the transition sequence. This is the kinematic sequence pattern. And these are all rotational velocities, angular velocities. Red line is the pelvis. Okay? In the backswing, pelvis reaches peak angular velocity about here. And then it decreases, and here almost close to zero for a prolonged period of time here. This is because you have too much time. Remember, you finished the pelvis rotation early, and then it was not rotating that much after that, right? Because you have too much time here. You are not old enough to know this, but the first generation computer game was just breaking bricks. You have these bricks here, and then the ball is moving, and then when it hits, then it breaks the brick and it comes back. Then you have to move the pedal to hit the ball. Then hit, you keep hitting. Then eventually the ball gets faster and faster. As it breaks more bricks, it gets faster, and then you have to match that. But if it's too slow initially, then again, as I said, you have different strategies here. Either you wait just here and then see this is returning, and then at the last minute you move it here. It's possible. Or you predict the location and then go there, the weight, and then minor adjustment here. So when the motion is slow, then your system is sort of distracted because you don't have a consistent pattern, but it depends on the situation, right? But when the ball starts moving faster, reasonably fast, then you don't have to even think. You just respond and then move, and then you have right timing. Hit like this. Because timing is reasonable. So your organization of your acceleration, deceleration is perfect. Okay? You only have one solution in that case. Accelerate and decelerate. Find the right accelerated deceleration curve. But when you have enough time like this, then you have many possible solutions. But in this case, what you chose was you act early, and then later you don't do much. Yeah. Then you lose the connection between the backswing and downswing. So, see, this is the pelvis here, and then this is shoulders. The peak shoulder angular velocity is here. Slightly after that, you have arms and then the club here. But these are happening too early. Early, quick rotation here, then slow motion all the way here. Instead, these should be better connected. So, acceleration, then deceleration, and then transition to the downswing. So again, this is because of too much time in the backswing. That means a slow backswing here. Okay. And then this is she showed the transition sequence here. So the pelvis transitions first here. The rest pretty much at the same time. It's clustered because you don't have a good connection here. So you slow down and finish here. Then on the way down, pretty much the rest of the body goes together. Only the pelvis turns early here, so you have a time gap here. But the rest are transitioning at the same time. So it's called a clustered transition. But you need to have a well-spaced sequential transition. For that, you have to have a continuous connected motion instead of. Okay. So. And then here, this is an interesting thing here. The blue line is your shoulder angular velocity. This gray is your arm angular velocity. As you can see, these do not show that much difference. That means your shoulder turn and the arm turn are going together here as one unit. But you have to use the mobility allowed it here, and then eventually you have to throw the arms. You have to add the arm motion to the body motion here. But these two are quite close. The blue line and in terms of peak here, the blue line and the gray line are quite close to each other. That means pretty much your shoulders and arms are turning together instead of this, letting it go. So when you let it go, then the pink line is wrist angular velocity, but it has to go a lot higher here. And yeah, so keep the club closer to the body down here. Later, you let the club head go. With this, you can add a lot of wrist angular velocity here. Then the club angular velocity also increases.
This way or just snap, like turn?
This one. So keep this closer and then throw and then let it go. As if you are actually, from the beginning, your interest is just moving the club head and then throw the club head instead of try to use your arms to move it here. So initially keep it closer and then try to make a large arc on this side here. Increase the radius on this side, but here you have to keep it close to your body.
Using your wrist speed, along with.
So another one is that this pink line again is the wrist pattern here, but what you see here is wrist here. So this green line here is wrist, but wrist, when wrist is negative, wrist angular velocity is negative, it means cocking. Okay, you have cocking motion here. When it is positive, it means uncocking. And then here you have early uncocking here. Okay, this is right before the top of action. Before you reach top of action, you already start uncocking. Uncocking, and then here, this is called the recocking here. Uncocking followed by recocking, and then final uncocking here. And then, so in this one here, this is what we just finished. So I submitted the revised manuscript yesterday to the publisher. It's on the wrist release style, but this is called the recocking pattern. You have early uncocking, early initiation of uncocking, followed by recocking, and then delayed release here. And then this happens when your wrist cock is not that large from the beginning. You know that your wrist cocking is not that large. And then when you start downswing, you let it go, but then a little bit of cocking and then later uncocking. But because you don't have much cocking to start with, so this doesn't go too much. So the club head, the wrist angular velocity is not that high.
Should be up higher.
So here the wrist angular velocity should increase more here. Then the club angular velocity will increase. So in order to generate the fast motion of the club head, then more than anything, you should have a good wrist angular velocity at impact. If you don't have good wrist angular velocity, then you are hitting something like this instead of. That makes big difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I see there. And then now, here's how you interact with the ground here, how you use the ground. The middle one is the forces. So the red one is the total force. So you see 3 arrows here. So the one acting on the right is the blue color here. The force acting on the lead foot is green. And then the total, the middle one, is the red one here. So it shows how much force is generated. So initially when you start the backswing, you have more force on the lead side. This is good. Okay, so the green is a bit bigger than blue here. This is good. And soon they will become equal to each other here. And then about here, you have a more push from the trail side. This is also normal up to this point. But what you are doing is you are simply redistributing the the weight, you don't have net active push. Okay, so you're just shifting the body, but you don't have active push using the right leg. If you have active push using the right leg, then this red line goes up here. The total force should go up. This is a one body weight. Okay, one body weight. You're starting from one body weight. It doesn't go that much up here. This has to go more up in order to have active backswing.
It's going left to right rather than really.
And then another problem is that right after that, you see the two forces become equal to each other here. But throughout the backswing, you should have more force acting on the right side. So this point is called the center pressure. But center pressure should stay close to the right foot here. And then the force has to incline like this, but it's upright. Okay, it's upright, vertical. It's because mostly in your backswing motion, you are just spinning here, spinning. So initially you have a little bit of shift so that you have more force on this side, but from that point on, the mainly is a spinning motion here. When you spin about this axis, then the ground reaction force stays vertical here. As you can see, this arrow is pretty much vertical here. Okay, all the way. So this is when the pelvis rotation is completed. And then this is the top of backswing here. Now it's a slightly inclined here, but still it's fairly upright here. And another issue is, so this is a red dot, this is the whole body center of mass. This is the total ground reaction force. If you extend this line, you can find this gap here. Imagine you are using a wrench or something to rotate something here. Here's the bolt or nut that you try to rotate. This is the wrench here. You're holding it here and then pulling this way here. So with that, you are generating essentially torque. So this is the center of rotation. And this gap is the distance from the center to where your hand is. It's called the moment arm or lever arm. Okay? And then the force magnitude here. So the torque, which is the upper one here, the torque generated in the front plane is equal to this moment arm, which is the lower graph here. The moment arm times the force magnitude. And then torque is the cause of rotational acceleration. So in order to rotate faster, then you have to generate a good amount of torque. So you have to generate large torque here, but for that you have to maintain long momentum. So either you maintain long momentum or you have to increase the force, but usually around here, your force is less than the body weight here. You cannot push the ground hard at this point. So you have to use long momentum here, okay? But if the momentum is not that long, then your torque is not that large here. And your maximum torque occurs here, because here you have the longest momentum here. Still, force is really small. Now this is smallest actually. But because of this long momentum here, you have the peak torque here. But after that, see what happens. The peak torque decreases rapidly here. The torque decreases rapidly. You have to maintain this torque reasonably. So it has to come this way here. But it's rapidly decreasing. And then, because of your jumping, when you jump, so about here, your combined force is equal to your body weight, okay? But after that, the force goes way below the body weight. It's called the unweighting. Unweighting, that means you're not pushing the ground as hard. If you just stand on the ground, then your ground reaction force will be equal to your body weight. But this force is less than that. After this, the force becomes smaller than the body weight. It's a severe unweighting here. And then at impact, almost jumping here. When this happens, pay attention to the direction of the force here. So as soon as you jump, so about here, the force passes through the center of mass here. So the momentum is 0, torque is 0. After that, the force goes the left side of your center of mass. then it generates a torque in the opposite direction. Your rotation is in this direction, but the torque you are generating using the ground is actually acting in the opposite direction. That means it interferes with the rotation. So up to this point, you don't have that large torque here. But even after this, you have torque acting in the opposite direction toward the impact. Then you have to lose we have an angular deceleration because of that near the impact. So this is quite inefficient, right? You have to eliminate that jumping. And it's easy, actually. No, as long as you don't have the image of pulling this down, but rather have the image of turning around. When you try to pull this down, then it hits the body here. And then when you pull this, your body tends to go up here. But if you have the image of turning around your body here, turn around and then throw the club head, nicely turning and stand on your lead side here, you never jump. In that case, even at impact, your ground reaction force will be equal to your body weight or even greater.
And even the folks that jump, like Scheffler or Justin Thomas, they're doing it at the time.
Particularly Scheffler has good rotational motion. Yeah. Justin Thomas has a weird jumping motion, but he generated good speed before that, so it's okay. But sometimes when particularly junior players, this pattern is quite common among junior players. You just got out of that junior stage, but sometimes it looks nice when you jump and then, but actually you're wasting a lot of energy to create jumping. Your ground reaction force, maximum force here exceeds elite man's average maximum here. So this is normalized to the body weight. So it's in multiples of body weight, but so when we normalize, then you're generating more than elite man's average. This force is large, but it's too large, unnecessarily large.
So, I'm sorry, how is that occurring?
It's a normalized to body weight, so eliminate the effect of body weight. Yeah. So, so she's generating good amount of force here, but this is too much. Because of that, you have this unweighting here. So if you have unweighting here, that means this is too much, and you have this action here instead of try to turn around. That's a big difference in terms of your image. So instead of go slowly up here and then create a lot of rotation, then you are sliding and opening the pelvis here, and then you try to pull this down, and then your action is going more this way here. Yeah. Instead, turn around the axis and then turn around the axis. Wind up and then unwind and throw the club head instead of pulling and dragging here.
And that's a much simpler motion.
So as soon as you develop that image, then your swing automatically changes quite a bit. Then you'll be able to connect the backswing to downswing a lot better. Okay, so so the main thing that we saw was slow backswing. So if the speed of backswing, and connect the backswing to downswing better. In the downswing, instead of trying to pull this down, slide and open the pelvis early, and then behind this, and try to pull this down here. Try to throw in front of your body. Go around. Then with this, you'll be able to stand on the lead side quite well, okay, instead of jumping. So those are the things we need to pay attention to.